Hi everybody, welcome to the live webinar, so India to UL. We're here in the University of Limerick International Education Division. So my name is Liam Ryan and I'm joined by Disha and by Abhinav, so two Indian students currently in UL. We're going to share our collective experience, answer some questions that you guys have asked already, and also do a live Q&A session as well. So you're very, very welcome. I'm looking forward to chatting to everybody, and we'll go through the session. It should be about 30 to 40 minutes, and that will be basically it from us. So I just want to get the guys to introduce themselves, and then we'll kind of cover we'll cover the topics that we'll cover, and then we'll do a Q&A session, as I said, at the end. So Disha, if you want to...
Thank you. So, hi, I'm Disha Mandalia. Basically, I am from Mumbai, India, and I'm studying Masters in Work and Organizational Psychology at UL. I have done my graduation in psychology, and now I'm doing this Masters, which is a one-year program. And basically, I chose Ireland because it's a beautiful country, and specifically UL because my course was really nice in this university. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Abhinav Mitra. I'm doing Bachelor's in Science and Equine Science. I chose UL because I researched since the age of 10 about where I wanted to do the course. And there were a lot of opportunities, but in the end, I saw the faculty feedback from previous experiences of students who had already studied here were amazing. And well, I'm happy to be here and nothing else.
Fantastic, thank you guys. And actually I'm a UL alumni myself, so I work in the International Education Division. I'm the regional manager for India, but I actually studied Bachelor of Science in Political Science, class of 2006, so showing my age slightly, but I can bring some of the alumni experience to bear as well. So in terms of the areas, we've grouped together some of the fields and the areas that we've had questions asked. So we're going to cover, I suppose, the steps before arriving to UL, so things like visas, accommodation, deposits, health insurance and things like that, flights and collections and things. So that's the first area, and then we'll cover kind of on arrival to UL, what does that look like the first couple of weeks and things like that. We'll then cover a little bit about the facilities, living in Limerick, and what's involved in kind of the longer term life in Limerick. One of the key things that comes out of that with the questions is work experience and postgraduate experience and things like that as well. And then the last thing, I think there was a lot of questions about Limerick City, the local area, about Ireland, about the weather, about food and things like that. So we'll cover some of those type of questions as well. We do recommend any questions that you ask, feel free to put them in the comments. We'll either address them during the session or at the end of the session, depending on what topic we're on at the time. So there's no question too big or too small, no such thing as a silly question. Just feel free to use the comments bar to have your doubts resolved. That's kind of why we're all here today. So the first part I wanted to start off with is I suppose the steps that we took before arriving to UL. So I know kind of the process really kind of is a complicated enough process, but we might just speak to the guys just to get their understanding of, or their explanation of maybe what they've gone through to get here. So I might start with Disha on that one, just to kind of give an example of your journey so far.
Okay, so before coming here, of course, every student has a lot of questions on how to go about things and how to pay your fees and where to book your accommodation. So definitely, as you mentioned, we are going to talk about everything specifically in detail. So basically, I applied last year for this program, and so I paid my fees, I got my offer letter, and then I had to apply for visa, pack my bags and just fly here. So that was as simple as it sounds right now, but I'm sure at this point you might have 100 questions. How will you do it? But so basically, do you want me to?
Yeah, I think some of the questions that we got through were a little bit detailed. I don't think we need to give a full explanation. And obviously, the international office and the immigration service can provide much more detail and the counsellors.
Definitely.
But I think just maybe a little bit more about your process and what you went through.
Okay, so basically, for things to carry, if you need some advices, I would say you just need to carry. It depends on how much allowance you get on your flight. But definitely, one thing I would mention is you need to carry some warm clothes, because when you arrive here, though it is not proper winter, you might just feel a little cold, because for every Indian student coming from a warm climate, I think it gets really difficult when we come here.
Mm-hmm.
So the weather might be a little cold and it might be windy and raining. So better be prepared with things like that. So I would say don't bring big jackets or something, but do carry small layers and woolen clothes. And when you come here, there are really good shops where you can buy jackets of different price range. So that shouldn't be a problem. And another thing is just carry essentials. Don't travel very heavy because honestly in Limerick, I think you get everything that's important and all basic necessities and food and things like that. And if you are very specific about, I think, food, just if you want, you can carry like, basic to start off with, like maybe a little spices or something if you're planning to cook. But there are good Indian stores here as well where you can go and shop for spices and Indian food. And if you miss home, there's everything here. So
Perfect.
I think it shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you. And then both of you guys live on campus.
Yes.
So maybe Abhinav, if you maybe just give me kind of an explanation of the village that you live in, what it was like to book, and then just what the accommodation is like.
So there are a lot of villages here on campus. Plassey Village, Drumrow, Thomond, Capavilla. So I myself stay in Capavilla, and it's an ensuite. It's an ensuite accommodation, and you have to apply in the month of February. You have to apply, and I think there's still a few left, as you mentioned before, for the incoming students. And I think it's really convenient because with the accommodation comes really good facilities of the gym, because with the accommodation fees, you also get a free membership of the gym and nothing like it. And it's really convenient. You have the reception right there. If you need any kind of assistance, they're always there for you. And for me, I've enjoyed my stay. I've got lovely flatmates and I've made lovely friends. Their cultural nights, on a weekly basis. So yeah, I mean, it's a good interaction with fellow students.
Yeah, and you were explaining, so we had a little bit of a chat before we came on. You were explaining that you guys share the cooking duties, and you have a different night every night, so different types of culinary experiences.
Yeah, it is actually, and it's a good bonding session.
Yeah.
And it's really nice because they allocate you on a random, in a random way, so that they make sure that you don't know each other from before. Like you can request them if you do know, but then I prefer that you go in with an open mind, make new friends, because it's a new journey and it's a new life, and I think that's
perfect. So Rohan has just asked the question about Troy Village. So Troy Village is actually owned and managed by the university. But it is actually just off campus, so it's about 15 to 20 minutes walk, I would imagine. 20 minutes walk, so it's a little bit off campus, but it's very good standard, very modern accommodation, private bedroom, private bathroom, and you kind of have a good level of accommodation. So it's one that we recommend. It's not as expensive as the on-campus accommodation, so yeah, it's a good option. It's accessible as well, so there's normally a shuttle bus that travels all the way around campus. So you can get quite easily either by walking, by bike. I think a lot of people cycle.
I mean, bike is the most convenient way. I think.
Yeah, and it's very cheap. I think there's bikes available for 40 to 100 euros on campus and things like that.
Yeah. Also, I want to add that Troy is a very good accommodation because it's exactly between city centre and university.
Yeah.
So if you do not have classes, say 5 days a week, for master's students, most of the classes are not 5 days a week. So if you have only say 2 days, you can actually live in Troy, because then you can actually go to city if you're planning to work part-time or things like that, or just to visit. Yeah. And also going to university is convenient, as you mentioned. So
following up on her, I'll also add that even Brookfield Hall and Rudy Village are also quite convenient, because I have some of my friends staying there, and I think you can look into off-campus accommodations if you are, in Brookfield or Rudy Village.
And I think and there was a couple of questions around that, but the prices and the availability of off-campus accommodation is quite good in Limerick. The quality of the standard of accommodation is quite good. We have an accommodation service in the university, so they manage the on-campus villages, but they also have a recommended list of off-campus villages as well. So if you don't want to live on campus, or if you book late, then you can use the recommended list from our accommodation service, and they will help you with that process as well. So my one recommendation is not to book kind of on Facebook or something where it's not a reputable dealer, so it can be a little bit a little bit risky that way. But if you go through a state agent or an agency in the university, it's very, very good, very reputable, and the standard of accommodation is very good, and it's maybe not as expensive as other cities in Ireland as well.
Yes.
Fantastic, thank you so much. So the next thing I wanted to touch on is kind of the visa piece and the kind of the health insurance and things like that. So I don't want to go through it in fine tooth comb detail, but I know there was some questions on it. So I think at the minute, as you mentioned, Disha, it's like the be all and end all. It's kind of the big stress at the moment. We have hundreds of students that come through the visa process every year from India. So we want to just reassure you that it is possible. And speak to current students or speak to your agency counsellors, speak to the university, and speak to VFS or Inish if you have particular questions. But there is kind of solutions to all the problems. It's not an insurmountable objective.
I would just suggest that if you are applying for visa, just try to start in advance, because don't leave it for last minute. If you're coming here on say 1st of September, don't start doing it in July end or something. Just start at least collecting your documents slowly and then apply, because as you mentioned, a lot of students are coming to Ireland at this point in time. So visa can take a lot of time. So it's best if you just apply so that you're giving enough time for the visa to be processed and you're just not tense last minute how to deal with things.
Absolutely.
So it's best to be before time.
That's good. That's good guidance. And the application portal for visa is open right now. The last date that we suggest for visa submission is the middle of July. So the earlier that you apply, the better it is. And basically, you won't have major problems around the kind of late arrivals and things like that. Don't stress too much about arriving. Definitely try and get here for orientation week. If your visa doesn't come here during orientation week, you can still arrive a little bit late. So, we recommend applying as early as possible. It takes all of the stress out of the process. Absolutely. The last one I wanted to kind of say was around flights. Different routes and things like that. So maybe how did you get to Ireland? What was the route, flight routes that you both took?
I think so. Basically, either you can land in Shannon Airport, which is half an hour to 40 minutes to reach Limerick, and another is Dublin Airport. I think both are equally convenient. It depends on what city you come from in India. So just check different websites and just see which one gives you a better deal with better baggage allowance, because I think that's what you're looking for at the moment, how much luggage allowance you get. And if you arrive in Shannon, definitely there are ways during orientation. I think there is pickup for students for 2 days. And if you arrive during that time, maybe you will get a pickup from the university itself. So that's the best. Even if you arrive in Dublin, it shouldn't be a big problem, because they have Dublin coaches in different agencies that run all day, like 24 hours from Dublin Airport to university. So it shouldn't be a problem wherever you arrive, I think. What I did was I came from Mumbai and I flew to Shannon because I was getting a better deal.
Perfect.
And then after coming to Shannon, because I arrived a little early, I stayed in a B&B for a night. And then next day I just came to Limerick and started here at university.
Perfect. And did you fly Mumbai through London, or what was the route that you came in?
Yes, I took Mumbai to London, London to Shannon. And
So I took the other way around.
Okay.
I went from Mumbai to Abu Dhabi, and then I came to Dublin. And another route that you can take is Mumbai, Paris, and then Dublin. And you can also take it from New Delhi as well.
And you can fly to Istanbul as well.
Istanbul, so there are a lot of options open. So
the one I use is Skyscanner. So
Skyscanner
you say your city and the city you want to go to, and they'll give you all the options. So I flew out to India a couple of weeks ago. I flew Shannon, Heathrow, Delhi. So there's loads of different options, and so just to reiterate, Dublin has basically 24/7 bus service directly from arrivals in the airport, and it stops in the University of Limerick. So it stops on campus. And in Shannon we do airport collections, and there's a bus that goes directly from as well. So either option is good, but really look at the one that suits you best, where you're coming from, the cost obviously, and then the baggage allowance is key. So make sure that you have a big baggage allowance as possible. Okay, so that's kind of the arrival stuff. So the other things then, I suppose, to move on to the next section is when you arrive in UL, kind of what was needed and things like that. So you've touched a little bit about on what you need to bring, but I suppose, Abhinav, was there anything else that you kind of brought from India as an undergraduate student? Not here for 4 years, I suppose, a little bit more packing.
I mean, you have to make sure that you get a little more clothes compared to the master's students. And like when you're coming for undergrad, you have to be mentally prepared, because you're young at that time, and you just have to come with an open mind. And you just have to make sure you enjoy the experience here, especially during orientation week. because I don't know if you have touched on the orientation week, but then I think it's one of the most important parts in university when you're starting, because that's the icebreaker. You know, of in the start, where you meet a lot of new people, and you should always remember that you're not the only one who's coming new here. I mean, there are a lot of people who are coming with the same mentality, and everybody might be shy, but then you just got to be social.
And I think that transitions perfectly on. I think the next piece I wanted to touch was orientation, and I suppose how UL do it is we do particularly a specific orientation for international students. So what we call week 0. So the only people on campus are international students, and there's a kind of a selection of events that you can do, and then we go into the first 7 weeks program then as well. So maybe you want to give an example or maybe an explanation of your experience from international orientation, and then did you engage with first 7 weeks after that?
Yeah, so basically it's a very lovely orientation program, I thought, because when you arrive here, they actually give you a campus tour. So they take you around all the important places on campus, different buildings, the library, main building. Probably you'll know where your classes will be held. So the very first thing is that, so you have clarity in terms of what's going to happen here. And then every day there's a different event. So there might be free food one day, or there's a party, or there's a bonding session, and they have different activities. They have something called a 7 weeks thing. So basically they tell you what happens every week, and also they have something planned for all those 7 weeks. So first 7 weeks they'll have sessions on creative writing, or they will help you with what are the support system like counseling or doctor or something like that on campus. So every week we'll have a schedule, and it's really nice because you get really acquainted with what's going on in university. So I think orientation is something you must try to attend.
Absolutely, and I think Abhinav, you touched on the social part of it. It's a big part of the university's mindset is actually kind of helping with integration. So as you said, people are coming from all over the world. There's 100 nationalities. There's people coming with no friends or a group of friends. So it's really mixed. So we do try and kind of get some social activities, sports activities, cooking classes and things like that. Was there anything that kind of stuck out for you in the orientation in terms of where you met people and stuff like that?
I mean, I came into the university concert hall for an Irish dance program, and that's where we were all sitting together in one line, and everybody's watching the show, and after that we all just go to the stables, head to the stables. Stables is the university pub, and that's where we met more people, and now we all are the best of friends, and it was lovely. And also I just want to add one more thing on the first 7 weeks. It's just that sometimes you just might feel lost in campus because it's a huge campus, but there are tour guides there from the first 7 weeks who are there to guide you, because it's a huge campus and you might get confused about where to go, but they're always there to help you in the first 7 weeks. So
and the last thing we do, so it sounds very nice and fun. There is also stuff on the academics piece as well. We do workshops on kind of teaching styles and learning study skills and stuff like that. So it's not all fun and games, unfortunately. But we do try and kind of equip people with the skills that they need to be able to study. There's different teaching styles in different countries and things like that. So it's kind of a briefing on how we teach in Ireland. Really is the only main difference. I think it's something that I'm quite passionate about. I was involved in orientation the last couple of weeks, but it's our last couple of years. It's quite fun for us as well, because we can see, we've been talking to you guys throughout the kind of the onboarding session, and finally you're kind of here and you get to enjoy the environment in Ireland. The next part then, I suppose, is so moving from kind of orientation and to get set up with visas, PPS numbers and things like that. So maybe do you want to talk about, I suppose, getting set up with immigration services and stuff like that, how it works when you arrive?
So basically when I arrived here, I had the visa for 30 days. I think that's how they stamp it in the beginning. And once you come here, you have to go for your IRP registration. IRP is basically Irish Residence Permit. So university helped with that. So one thing about Limerick that I loved absolutely, that they'd already booked appointments for us in advance. So if you're studying elsewhere in Ireland, you might struggle a little because you have to do it on your own, and it can take even few months to get the appointment itself. So here UL had like clearly dates, like they had booked appointments, so we just had to go there with the university letter and specific documents which you can find on website, and then you just go register and you get your IRP card, and that is valid for 1 year. So there was something called as multiple entry visa, which is not valid now, so it's been abolished. So that's a good thing. So it's really nice for international students. So I think it's very easy to get your IRP. and then you're set for 1 year if you're coming here for masters. I mean,
And the IRP
Yeah.
also allows us to work
Yeah.
20 hours a
Yeah,
week
per week.
during the semester.
yeah.
And when the vacation's going on, you can work for 40 hours per week. So I mean, it's quite good. I mean,
Yeah.
It's good, yeah. And we'll do a kind of a bit of more information on part-time jobs
Yeah.
and stuff like that afterwards. But that's kind of the process. So
Yeah.
we basically pre-book immigration appointments before
That's
you guys even
excellent.
arrive. So literally, you have during orientation week, you get a slot to say you need to be in the immigration service at this time on this day. You bring your documents in; they're all provided by the
Yeah.
university, and it's quite straightforward. Once you get your card, then as you said, you're then eligible to start working at
Yeah.
that stage. So it's quite straightforward, and we try and make it as streamlined as possible for
Yes,
students, which is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Excellent. It's good to hear that it is that easy
It's really
as it is.
started, yeah.
It seems stressful now, but
Yeah.
it's
It's
easy
not
once you
If you
get
take
it.
it step by step.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's one
Exactly.
step at a time.
Perfect. So, is there anything else kind of on the arrival piece? So, kind of coming to UL in the first couple of weeks that you wanted to highlight, good or bad? Like, I know the weather you
Yeah,
mentioned. It's a bit of a shock.
Yeah, I think weather, food, people, it's all part of settling in, because when you come to a new place, you are kind of nervous. It can't be all hunky-dory, oh nice, but you still need to settle, and there is enough support. What I feel is there is enough support in UL for everything that you're going through.
Mhm.
So what I liked about UL is that they have this buddy program. So, but I was a buddy ambassador, and also I'm a student ambassador. So that's basically when new students are coming in, they are already allotted to a buddy. So each buddy will have 3 or 4 students. So you already have a friend before you are coming in here. So you can email them, message them, probably have their WhatsApp number, and you can ask them all the questions, or even if you don't want, you can just go for a cup of coffee when you
Yeah.
arrive. So I think that was something really nice. I did it this semester being a buddy, and it was so nice because now they're really good friends with me. I mean, we hang out and we just talk about everything. So that is lovely, and I think there's all this support. You might feel a little nervous to leave your country, leave your family, friends behind, but it's just exciting thing waiting for you. So yeah.
Perfect. So Kriti Nirmal has just asked the question. So can we reach a couple of days before our orientation? Where can we stay? So I know the on-campus accommodation normally only opens kind of the week before orientation week, so the Thursday or Friday before. So I think
Usually 1st September.
1st of September or 28th or 29th of August. We will publicise that date once it's confirmed. Sometimes students, as Disha mentioned, when you arrive early, you can book into short-term accommodation. So I think
Even Brennan Court House. I stayed in Brennan
Yeah.
Court House, that's on campus, and you can book it through booking.com, or you can book it through Airbnb as well. So I mean, it's quite comfortable, and it's really convenient because if you have a lot of things, a lot of luggage, it's easier to take it to. If I was staying in Capavilla, so it's easier to travel with so much luggage, to Capavilla rather than staying off campus. But it's up to you all. In the end.
But there's options available there.
Yeah.
And the reason that the on-campus accommodation isn't available to move into beforehand is we run events during the summer on campus. So they open basically all the villages basically back up that week before orientation. But there is definitely options on campus, and we can publicise those.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Kwang will answer that. So we'll go through the programs on the master's courses. So Disha will give a bit of information on the master's courses towards the end. Perfect. So that kind of covers a little bit around the arrivals piece. And we'll kind of move on to the UL experience and the life in terms of what's involved. So we're just, I suppose, kind of a little bit about maybe each of your programs, so the course that you're studying and the facilities in terms of the academic facilities and stuff like that. And then we might talk about the sports facilities and careers services and stuff like that after. So if you want to give maybe, Disha, if you want to start with your program.
So I think, so basically, since I mentioned that I'm studying Masters in Work and Organizational Psychology. So basically we had classes 2 days a week, and other than that I was kind of free. So I could do different things, but then if you're doing a master's program here, it is quite intensive. It is not that you will not do anything. So if you study 2 days a week in class, the other days you need to study on your own. So there is absolutely nice library here, and they've redone the library this year. So there's a new part of the library which is really nice, and they have a very nice and quite separate room for postgraduate students which you can access. So that's really nice because then there are limited number of students there and you can really focus and study. So, and there are all sorts of books available. I think for my program, we were given so many references for different books to refer and different articles. So everything was accessible in the library and I didn't have to spend even a single rupee on any extra book or something, so which was absolutely nice. And apart from that, we had tutorials. So basically, if you are, if you are struggling with some concept, you will have a tutorial which will be for a few students. If you students have same doubt from your class, the professor will actually arrange a tutorial for you one of the days, and they can answer your questions and also practically help you with things. So I think academics is really fabulous here because my major focus here was to gain quality education more than anything. So I think academics was really nice in terms of teaching, in terms of support from your teachers, and I could contact my course director or my professor for anything absolutely. Just doesn't have to be like, you do not understand something from the course, even anything personal that you're going through related to your life, you can actually go and speak to them and they'll divert you to necessary help.
Yeah.
So I think that is really nice, having a good library and good course and professors. And apart from that, there are so many facilities, like we mentioned, there's free membership to the gym, and there are so many other things to be involved in.
Also the new pitches have come up, the turf.
Yes, that's
artificial
turf pitches there. It's great. Thank you, Disha. And I suppose just to emphasise that, the culture, I suppose, within UL and in Ireland in particular, it's kind of that approachableness of our lectures.
Yes.
I know in some countries the professor is like you can't approach them, but I think in Ireland it's very much it's kind of first name terms. You can have a conversation with them, and it's quite small class sizes as well. So what size is your class?
So my main class was just around 20 to 25 students, but then for some modules we were 2 or 3 courses combined together, but that's absolutely fine. I mean, it doesn't feel like there are 100 students in a class and we're not able to gain any personal attention, because all these professors actually have their lecture hours. So basically, if they have their office hours, so if you want, you can actually go and meet them without an appointment during their office hours if you have to speak about something. So I think that's
fantastic.
Convenient.
And then Abhinav, I suppose you're kind of coming from the science side of things, so it's a little bit of a different structure. But if you want to talk us through that.
As I said, as I mentioned before, that I'm an undergraduate student studying Equine Science, and to study Equine Science, you need really good facilities in terms of technology and everything in the labs. So when I came here, I mean, the lab work we do and everything, it was lovely because you have everything available to you, and it can be intense because we have 5 days, we have classes 5 days a week. It can be intense, can be tough, and the lecturers told us that look at it realistically, that it can be tough and you can be lost at some point in the semester, but they said that have faith and just ask for help. Don't be shy, because here the lecturers are lovely, the faculty is amazing, and they'll help you to a certain extent where you're just like, okay, I can do this, and you'll come out with flying colors in the end.
Fantastic.
So
and Manjari asks, what's the schedule like for master's programs? Is it 2 days a week for all courses, or does it depend on the particular program? So it really does depend. So I know each course has a slightly different structure. I suppose what Disha has mentioned is the usual structure for courses. There's three types of classes. So there will be a lecture, which is kind of a larger group. So you'll have kind of 20 to 30 students normally. There will be a tutorial class then, which is kind of a smaller group, maybe five students and a professor. And then particularly in science, but in a lot of programs, there'll also be kind of a laboratory work. So you'll actually do practical work where you take the theory piece and you apply it to real life. And I think that's a big part of the functioning in UL. It's about kind of not just teaching the theory, but how does that
practical work. And I think it's definitely depending on the course. Every course has different number of days assigned. And
I think the average is about 25 to 30 hours contact per week is the usual in terms of number of hours of class. And then as Disha mentioned, you might have 30 hours of class or 20 hours of class, but there's a lot of kind of independent learning. Exactly. And you're kind of given questions and how to solve the problem, but you're not really given the answers.
But it's interesting, and it helps you Like it's a tough environment to work in,
Yeah.
but it's purposely put like that so that you're ready for the real world after,
I really think it's more knowledge based
Yeah, it's
and
knowledge-based,
more
yeah.
practical. I think when you also do self study, you kind of start using your brain more because
Yeah.
you're not given answers.
There's no manual for a
Yeah,
job.
so
Is
you
my
just
is
try
my
to find your
Yeah,
answers.
yeah. Perfect. So that's kind of the academic stuff. Is there any kind of other questions? So Ayush, I have your question on campus and off campus. We'll cover that in a second. Is there any other questions on academic programs? I might have a scan here. We've had some queries on specific programs, so mechanical engineering from and health informatics. So I'll address those at the end, but I kind of want to just cover that's the overall structure of the academic programs. So the only difference between UG and PG is that both programs do 2 thought semesters, so September to December, and then from January to May. And then the PG students, unfortunately, have to do their dissertation. So they do a 12-month research project simultaneously as their thought semesters. So the number of credits and the level of award is the same as a 2-year master degree in India or in the UK or in the US, but you basically compress that into 12 months rather than 2 9-month years.
Yeah.
For UG, it's normally 2 thought semesters, and then you get a break basically for the summer, except for the cooperative education, which we'll talk on in a sec. Okay, so in terms of the academics we've covered, in terms of the kind of the facilities on campus, so things like the Students' Union, the concert hall, clubs and societies, have you guys accessed those, or how do you use them?
I think big time. So basically for clubs and societies, I was involved mainly in international societies. So I was on the committee of international society, and I would definitely recommend being in that society because it's basically 400, 500 students per semester from different parts of the world who are part of this society here. So we do trips, like there are weekend trips where you can go, for very subsidized rates. You can go out and you can go for trips to different places in Ireland, and you can travel, and there are parties and there's food gathering and things like that. So there are a lot of events that take place. So it's absolutely, I would suggest, be a part of it so that you never feel lonely. I mean, even if you don't want to socialize, you're still a part of a social group, which makes you feel like, you're with people
with the
all
same
the time.
with the same hobbies and
and other than that, I think there are clubs and societies which are very specific to your interests. So there's skydiving and kayaking and dancing, and so I was a part of like 5-6 societies here. Though I was studying masters, it was difficult, but I think still it depends. You don't have to give your 100%. It's just your interest.
Yeah, you can kind of access as much or as little as you need.
So it's just a membership in the beginning, and then whole year, whenever you get time, you can be involved in these activities. So.
And yourself,
I mean, I love sports, so I was in the UL soccer club and UL social soccer. So it's a really nice thing. You should go and you should meet people with the same liking and like similar kind of the things that you like, and it's happened before that UL social soccer group that we have all gone and watched the Champions League matches and the Premier League matches, and it's a lovely night to spend afterwards, and you make friends, the great friends.
And I think that's the big takeaway that I have is that it's actually easier to integrate with clubs and societies than the class, because the class is kind of you're in your class and you're kind of working and everyone's busy, whereas you're choosing to kind of your interest and you have a shared interest group. So I'm actually, as I said, I studied in UL, but I did a semester abroad as well. But I joined the rugby team over there, and I made really good friends over in the States. And I'm still friends with them now. So definitely one thing that I would recommend is joining a club or society and doing something as part of that. It's a big part of the kind of social fabric, and it's a big part of life on that. So the next one that I just wanted to touch on is the careers office. So a big part of life in Limerick and in Ireland is not just the studies, but actually working during the year, but also working on graduation as well. So we'll get kind of the undergraduate and postgrad kind of aspect of that. So Disha, because you're beside me, we'll go to you first.
Okay, so basically for jobs, I think most of y'all, if y'all are thinking to get a job, the very first thing is if you're working part-time, it is 20 hours a week, and full-time during summer holidays and Christmas, it is 40 hours. And after you finish your course, you can actually work 40 hours a week full-time. So basically, one thing is you need your PPS. So that's very easy. It's a free service. You just go with a document and you get it very easily within 10 working days. And career office, I think, is very helpful here because I think professional development is very important when you are at the end of your course, because now you have learned all the theory and knowledge, and now you kind of want to apply it in practical world. So careers office basically is a team where they help you make your CV. They give you a template where it is like an Irish CV, how they like it in job markets here, and then they review it for you. They give you suggestions in it, and then they actually help you, look for jobs. So it's not basically they're going to do it for you, but they suggest you what websites should you use, what are the different ways of doing it. They also have sometimes mock interviews. So basically you can go to a person from the team and they'll have a mock interview with you one-on-one, and that session is fabulous because when you go out for your real interview, you're kind of prepared. You know what questions to answer, the way you answer to the employers. So I think careers and employability is excellent service.
And then did you work part-time during the year, or?
Yeah, so during the year I actually worked part-time as a childminder. So basically, since I come from a psychology background and I've worked with children with autism in the past, so I really like working with kids. So it doesn't sound fun when you're actually working with them. But then I was a childminder, so I was working for 2 days a week during weekends basically. So I would just go for a few hours and do something. So definitely. I think if you need to support yourself financially, it's the best way to go about it. And I think here there is no stigma because you can take up any job. I mean, you can work in retail, in hotels, in cafes, in wherever. So
we actually, and as an office, we actually recommend students to kind of work in those type of retail jobs. Because if you're trying to work in kind of a professional type environment, you often have to take work home, you have to learn extra skills, you have to learn new coding languages or new systems or something like that. To do that on top of your masters can be quite difficult. We have students that do it, but actually the feedback is it's very hard to manage both. So things like a retail job or child minding and things like that, the minimum salary that you can make is €9.70 per hour. And basically if you put that by the hours you can work, it's about €10,000 per year. So you can cover your cost of living, I suppose, quite easily.
And I think the best part is these kind of jobs can still be added on your CV. I mean, you can still very much mention that, I worked in a coffee shop for 8 months. So it actually counts as you
customer
have
service.
skills. It's customer service, communication, and So many skills there. So I think that's fabulous. So
And then you're starting a job on Monday.
Yes. So basically, definitely my careers in employability team did help me there as well. So basically, so one of my modules in my program, so we have one of the professors who's actually working with the careers team. So I think she prepared me really well for this, and I did apply for a job, and so I cracked the interview. I start on Monday.
Good job. And it's related to your field of study. You're using your graduate visa scheme and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
Perfect.
So it's
fantastic. Good news. So then, Abhinav, I suppose from the UG's perspective, if you want to just give me kind of a summary of what you did.
Placement, the co-op placement. So mine is a 4-year course. But in my 3rd year, 2nd semester, you're sent for a co-op by the university. That's basically like going to a field of the same industry that you want to work in later. So so you go to the careers office. They have a lot of job opportunities that they'll tell you about, and these opportunities are like trusted jobs which will have a good reflection on your CV later when you're going for a real job after you're done with your degree. And it's basically a 6-month experience where you're just working in a similar field, and you'll get different challenges and obstacles, and you know how to tackle them through what you've learned in the past here in UL. And I think it'll be a really good experience. I'm still in 2nd year, but I'm looking forward to it already.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you so much. So that's kind of closes a lot of the questions we got on the pre-sessional stuff. I suppose the last one, it's a very quick one. What's your favourite thing to do in Limerick?
I think it depends very much on your personality. For me, Limerick, I think it's a blend of city and countryside both. So when I lived on campus in Kappa Villa, like the view from my room was actually fields and windmill and rainbow. Almost every day I could spot a rainbow there. So I think my favorite pastime was just relaxing and doing nothing, like just sipping on my coffee and reading a book and just enjoying, because like when you're studying so much and you have so many things going around, and of course you're involved in a lot of things, you could either just walk to city center, sit in one of those cafes and just relax, I think. Yeah, because your people are so friendly. I mean, even if I go alone and I'm sitting in a cafe or a bar, you can just chit chat with people and just talk about what you're doing here, how is life, and you just cultural exchange, and then you go back home. So fantastic. I think
And Abhinav?
I mean, it's my thing is like my philosophy is like balancing both academics and your social life. So I love to go out with my friends, my flatmates, and then I meet new people in the pubs or something over the weekend. And grow my social thing and and make new friends. So it's nice.
Excellent, very good. And my personal favourite, so there's a traditional Irish music, so the Loch Bar. There's really nice food. You sit out by the river and a pint of Guinness or a coffee, depending on your preference, and listen to some Irish music is my personal favourite anyway. But Limerick, it's a big city. It has kind of everything that you need without being too big. So it's not a Mumbai or a London or a Delhi, but it has kind of everything that you need. So shops, restaurants, malls.
It has a different charm altogether.
Yeah,
it has a different charm.
Exactly. So we're going to move on to the questions we received. So we got some questions online, and we've been asked some during the kind of the session as well. So we'll kind of touch on those. So we have a couple of notes here. So between on campus and off campus, which one is better?
Okay. Okay, so since I've lived on campus, but I had friends, and I'm sure you did. So there are a lot of people who live off campus as well. So I think when you're on campus, the pros there are that basically there is safety, there's security, and there's a reception, there's security guards always. So if you're stuck or something, you're a call away for help. And I think also if something breakdowns, there is free maintenance or something. So it's much more convenient and easy. Plus you can make a lot of friends. As you mentioned, so we'll have like cultural nights, we'll cook for each other, and meet new people. So I think those are really the pros of staying on campus. And off campus but again, on campus can be a little expensive compared to off campus. So if you're looking for cost effective options there, then off campus is also preferable. It's just that I would suggest if you're booking something off campus, be very very careful about the scams. I mean, just don't book, as you mentioned before, don't book,
pay in advance.
Don't pay in advance, don't book anything online and things like that. Just view the room.
Use the recommended services, like we have a vetted list and things like that and stuff like that.
Just be safe there.
Issues there. I have actually lived off campus, so as I said, I lived in Oaklands, College Court, and Ellen Park, and they're all like 2 minutes. Student villages, basically, but they're right around the campus. 2 minutes walk the campus, basically. What about yourself?
Well, if you ask me personally, I've got input from a lot of my friends who are staying off campus. But if you ask me, I'll go blindly on an on-campus accommodation. It can be expensive, and there's no doubt about that. But then the kind of facilities you get with that, it's really amazing. And you can always go out for a walk in the university whenever you want. And and if you want to get to classes, it's much more convenient because it's close by. And if you want to have lunch, in between classes or something, you can always come back, make your lunch, and then go back for classes. So there's no problem about that. So
perfect. So Gurvinder and Deepak asked the same question. So what percentage of students got jobs this year? So our graduate employment rate from last year, so 2018 class was 97%. That's the full university. So that's the highest graduate employment rate in Ireland. And of that number, so we do a kind of an assessment of the international students, and 70% of the international students stayed and worked in Ireland afterwards. So there is some students who, we get a lot of US students or European students that study in Ireland and then go back to jobs at home. We also get scholarship students, so from Saudi Arabia and Malaysia and things like that they're funded to come study in Ireland, but they go back and work at home. The feedback that we get, and I don't have a specific number on that, but the students that want to stay and access the graduate visa scheme have got opportunities, and the unemployment rate in Ireland is very, very low. There is job opportunities out there, and things like finance, in psychology, in computer science, in financial services, and all different areas.
So basically, I'm just adding here. So the thing is, there is critical skills and there is general skills. So critical skills is basically there'll be a list of skills that you require or certain courses that come under critical skills work permit. So if you're in IT or computers or a lot of more courses, then you find jobs accordingly. And there is general skills. So usually for general skills, it's little difficult compared to critical skills, because critical is, they have high demand here because they need people to work in that sector.
Yeah.
But though I don't come under critical skills, I've managed to get a full-time job right now when I've not even finished my course. So I think it totally depends on how much effort you put in finding a job.
Absolutely.
So if you're actually looking for employment, when I came here, I started applying right from October. So in October, there's a careers fair that happens in University of Limerick, which was huge. So there were like almost, I don't know, if 300 employers that came in, and basically you get a chance to go network with them and talk to them and, you know, just give your CV and see how that works. So I think employability is more on your effort, and because you are anyway doing your master's and course, and you will have the skills. It's just that how much hard you work towards getting a job. So
yeah, I think that's it exactly, and it really does depend on a student's application, what jobs you apply for, and interview skills and things like that. We do really equip people with the best chance possible. But yeah, there is lots of opportunities there. The stay back visa, yes. So there's a couple of questions on the stay back visa. So basically, for the master's students, so when you graduate, you basically get a two-year stay back visa. At the moment for UG, it's a 1 year stay back. So that basically allows you to work unrestricted for 2 years. And then I know the tier 2 visa and the PR. We had questions on PR. Do you want to talk about PR, or do you want me to cover it?
It's okay if you cover it.
Perfect. So basically, there's a couple of questions on permanent residency and the pathways into permanent residency after you graduate. So basically, you would do your master's or your bachelor's degree. You would use your graduate scheme visa for the 1 or 2 years, which allows you to work in any type of company. Basically, to get a tier 2 visa, which is a 3-year extension from your stay back visa, you need to be working full time. It needs to be in your field of study, and you basically need to have a salary of 30,000 euros or above. So our graduate salary, our average graduate salary in university is 35,000 euros. So the chances of getting a kind of a role in that area is quite good. It depends section to section. But also the last piece then is a company would need to sponsor you for a tier 2 visa. So your graduate visa, when now that you're working on, you can work in any company that you want. But basically the tier 2 visa is a named sponsorship. So if I get a job in University of Limerick, I can only work in University of Limerick for a tier 2 visa. And then once you're working in Ireland for 5 years, you can then apply for PR at that stage. So that's kind of the pathway: 1 year study, 2 year stay back, 3 years tier 2, and then PR afterwards. And then for UG, you need two visa kind of cycles before you get PR.
I think the graduate visa that you spoke about for 2 years is really nice because you don't really have to work with the same company throughout. So 2 years you have a chance to actually explore that, you know, what are your job needs as well, and if you will fit well in that company, and if you do, that's excellent. Like
and you're not tied into one company.
Not tied.
You can almost interview them a little bit and make sure that you want to stay there for the longer term.
So you have kind of time to actually explore.
Perfect, excellent. And then we've kind of covered the part-time opportunities. We do a little bit of assistance around that, but it is kind of really normally retail, shops, restaurants, childminding. There is some opportunities for kind of freelance work or things like that, but it is really you're coming a long distance and you're paying a lot of money. We do recommend students to kind of prioritize the studies while you're here, and then the 2 year period afterwards is kind of when you can build your CV and grow your thing. Perfect. Okay. So from Kriti, so an Indian psychology student. So she has a particular question for Disha just on the academics and stuff like that.
Okay, so hi Kriti. So basically I did my graduation in psychology, then I did a master's in psychiatry for a year, and then I worked in India for some time as a counselor. And since you are a psychology student, I don't know what field you are planning to choose for your majors, but I wanted to do work in organizational psychology. That's where my interest lies. So it might be different for all the majors, but I think for me it was an excellent course because the modules are quite in depth and they actually help you in the industry. Like, when you actually go out for jobs, they really help you because it skills you for everything. So along with theory, they'll teach you the practical skills, like how to, actually apply these skills in real. So I think for psychology, it's a fabulous program. So if you're planning for counseling or industrial, clinical, it's up to you. But whatever you choose, there is definitely scope.
Fantastic, thank you, Disha. And then I think there was a follow-up part. We've covered a little bit around packing. What should I bring? Is there something important I should keep in mind and bring from India before I land in Ireland? One of the things that you mentioned, I just want to reiterate is waterproof boots or shoes, and waterproof jacket. So the climate in Ireland is a little bit changeable in comparison to India. It's definitely cooler, but it's in one day.
It's
it's
unpredictable.
very
though.
unpredictable.
I mean, sometimes it can be sunny, sometimes it can be raining.
In one day.
So in one day, so it changes.
So
a lot.
you don't want like a big ski jacket, but kind of a light waterproof jacket and good kind of waterproof shoes or boots, and you're covered basically.
Umbrellas don't work here.
Umbrella, the wind is a bit high.
quite strong.
Okay, so there's a couple more questions in online. Tanzil and Pradeep, just around the accommodation piece. So we've kind of covered it. We will make the video available online, so we'll record it and put it on our YouTube channel, so you can watch this back and see some of the information that we covered. An extra tip that I would give you if you're booking accommodation, you can put the address that you're looking at into Google Maps and just see how far it is walking or by bike to the campus. That'll give you a good idea of how accessible it is. Don't book like 50 minutes away, it can be a pain. So there is lots of accommodation in the local area. 10-15 minutes away is probably the furthest you should have to travel. And then the other thing I would recommend is looking at the UL accommodations website and also daft.ie. So daft.ie is one of the kind of the top rated accommodation websites in Ireland and Limerick. So the two of them, so Google Maps your address, check Daft and check UL accommodation services. They're probably my two top tips. Okay, so what value is there in India for the MSc degree we take from Ireland, and how can we pursue PR? We've covered a PR piece, but you might just kind of a little bit on the masters.
So the masters that you do here and in India is equivalent, definitely it will be recognized back home. I cannot say that it might give you an edge because you have a degree from an international country, but definitely it is equivalent to the course that we do here. So it is level 9 with 30 credits, and it's the same in India. So I think it's definitely equal.
Perfect. No problem. Excellent. So Sajid, you asked about these how the classes are arranged for masters. We've covered that already, so you can watch it back. Joseph has asked about the weather, general campus life. We've kind of covered that a little bit already, so we're good. We're getting way ahead of ourselves. So costs around accommodation. So do you want to maybe just give an example? So if you're in Capavilla, what the costs are, and then I know the off-campus accommodation. So if you want to cover that.
So on campus there are different ranges of accommodation. So if you're going to Capavilla, it is one on the higher end. So basically it was something around
5,600 like.
So 750 per month. So it is ensuite, and you share with other 5 people, so it's 6 people accommodation.
You have your own bedroom.
You have your own bedroom and you have your own bathroom. You just share the living area,
space,
and it is really furnished and really like a hotel. So it's kind of nice accommodation.
And then access is you have kind of a card.
And a key card to enter the building and to enter the room and things like that. So it's very safe and very nice.
And there's 24-hour security as well. So if you have any problem, they're always there.
They're always there. So that is for Capavilla, and then there are different ranges. So if you go to Thomond, it will be slightly lesser or maybe the same. I'm not sure. You can check on the website.
Drumrow, and then Plassey and Kilmurry.
Plassey is
they're normally for UG, so most students that live in Plassey and Kilmurry are undergraduate, and then the other villages are a mixture of undergraduate and postgraduate. And then costs, it's slightly higher the less people you share an apartment with. So if it's a 2-bedroom apartment, it'll be higher. If it's a 6-bedroom apartment, it will be slightly lower. And the second part of your question, Harshad, is actually quite a good one. I'd like to know about career opportunities in Limerick and how they compare to Dublin. So very, very good question. I'll give a brief overview and you guys can give your 2 cents. So in terms of career opportunities, there's a number of large multinationals have their headquarters in Limerick. So there's a number of big companies just on the outskirts. So 5 minutes walk, Vistacon, Johnson & Johnson, Uber, big multinationals have their European headquarters. Northern Trust is a big firm as well. So there is definitely job opportunities in multinationals and in local companies in Limerick. Ireland is very small, so from Limerick to Dublin is 2 hours. So what a lot of our students do is if there's a company that's in Cork or in Limerick or Galway or Dublin, you would basically during your summer, so in May when you finished your exams, you would basically go up and do interviews remotely, and then once you're earning a salary, it's much easier to pay for a cost of living. So a lot of our students will pick the company that they want to work in. the geography of Ireland is so small
Yes.
that it's not like moving from Cochin to Delhi.
Yeah.
Like halfway around the world almost. But it's a 2-hour drive basically to anywhere in Ireland. This is kind of the summary.
So public transport is also quite convenient, so there's no problem with the buses and
Definitely,
everything.
I suppose that's kind of is your job's in Dublin, right?
Yeah, it's in Dublin. So basically, Limerick is in the center, so it becomes very easy if you have to go to Galway or Cork or Dublin. It's just 2 hours everywhere, as you mentioned. But then, I think it's very compared to Dublin. I would also say that the rents will be a little high, and cost of living is little higher in Dublin. So Limerick is also very good with the companies because there are so many headquarters. So if you have your course which has demands, and if you get a job which is in Limerick, it's not bad at all. So you can try the Galway, Cork, Limerick and Dublin, but it's not like Limerick will have less opportunities compared to Dublin. Though Dublin has many companies, I think it's just based on your course where you need a job.
That's what our career service does. It's not they don't kind of advise you geographically. It's really about kickstarting your career, getting into the right company. Whether that company is in Donegal or in Dublin it's kind of it's helping that. So and once you're earning a salary and you've got a full-time wage, it's much easier to be able to kind of change your accommodation and things like that. We've covered the cost of living piece and why choose Limerick over Dublin, things to bring and so on. Sorry, I just want to make sure we answer all the questions. How long is our break in December, and do people normally come back to India or do you stay there? So do you want to deal with that one?
Sorry, which one?
So do you normally how long is our break in December? Do people come back to India or do you stay in Limerick, or what's the situation?
Personally, I was in my first year, and during the winter vacation, I went back to India for a month, because for me personally, I thought the Christmas period here is quite, it's really quiet. I mean, Liam would know as well, because it's a festive period. It's a festive period. It's a festive period, and so it's always better to go back to India and visit your family, and then come back and probably stay back for the summer, because summers there are many more opportunities to look for and work. So I mean, my personal opinion is that December is the best time to go back home and visit.
So you went home in December and you're staying on campus then for the summer?
I'm staying on campus for the summer, and I'm looking for jobs and everything. So let's see.
So I would say if you're coming for a master's and it's a 1-year program, and if you're not planning to stay after the year, go travel.
Yes.
I mean, that's the best thing to do, because you are in Europe, though it's not in the center of Europe, but still it's a part of Europe. So it's just that you need one Schengen visa, and then the flights are so cheap, like Ryanair or something. They're cheap. So just go to different places and explore, and if that's what you like, just go to places.
I think a lot of our students do that. So you basically get a month. So the exams are already finished the 20th of December, and then your semester starts back the 20th of January. So you get a month break. And most of our master's students do that, where London is 1 hour flight. I'm traveling there next weekend. My flight was €19, so it's so cheap. Paris is 2 hours, Berlin is 2 hours, Madrid is 2 hours. So you can visit Rome. You can kind of get around Europe very easily. So a lot of our master's students do that, where they travel in the winter break. And in the summer break, I think for masters really is about careers focused stuff, getting jobs, getting your thesis done. Very important. Very important. Is there any other questions, I suppose, that we want? Naman has asked average cost of living per month and its breakdown, which I know is a difficult one per area. But would you have kind of an idea of how much you might spend per month?
Like probably if you're for me, it's about €180 a month. I mean, should be enough. If you 200 euros should be quite enough for a month. I mean,
and that's kind of food,
books, everything. Everything. 200 euros for me is enough.
And I think it depends on your lifestyle
as well.
How much you spend. I mean, if you're eating every day outside, it might get expensive for you. But then if you're cooking 2 meals a day, it's going to be cheaper.
I prefer to cook at home rather than ordering from outside, because you save money. And it's good for your health as well.
And we do cookery classes in orientation week, and then all of the accommodation basically has a fully furnished kitchen. So. I've heard Avinash has learned how to cook.
I've learned to cook. That was my biggest worry before coming here. What should I cook? Because I was living When I came here, I was living on sandwiches for the first week. But then you guys shouldn't worry because you have that survival instinct that you have to cook and just watch videos. And there are a lot of cooking classes, as Liam said.
But that's one of the big. So you improve your academic stuff, but it's about independence as well.
Independence, and I think that's what it teaches you a lot.
Yeah, and you save money.
And you save a lot of money.
Perfect. Cynthia Wang asks, are we allowed to travel to other countries on the weekends? So yes. So as Disha mentioned, basically you would apply for a single visa. So a Schengen visa covers all of the mainland Europe. You can apply for a UK visa, which covers the UK. You don't have to go through the whole rigmarole of it's not like applying for a visa from India. You kind of use your Irish student visa status. And then basically Irish government has recently removed what was called the re-entry visa. So basically all you have to do is book your flight, you have your visa, and then you come back into Ireland. It's
That's
very
really
straightforward.
convenient. Really convenient.
And flights, so Shannon Airport is, as I said, is about 30 minutes away. And Dublin is 2 hours. You can fly basically anywhere in Europe. It's a little bit more complicated if you're going outside of Europe. You need to apply for a US visa or whatever it might be. But yes, absolutely, you're allowed to travel at the weekends. Classes are only Monday to Friday between 9 and 6 p.m. So anything outside of that, we don't care. Is sharing accommodation available? It's unusual. So you would have your own private bedroom in pretty much 99.9% of accommodation bookings. It's very rare to be able to share a bedroom. So I've not come across any options. And that's the culture here, is basically you would have your own private bedroom, Pradeep. So that question came from Pradeep. Thank you. How much time does it take for processing of students' visa? So we've been speaking with the Delhi visa office. I actually met with the Delhi visa office while I was there last month. They have said 6 to 8 weeks is the usual processing time. So we really put a cutoff in terms of visa application middle of July. If you haven't submitted your visa at that stage, then you need to let us know and really kind of prioritize that. So as Disha mentioned, just do it now. There's nothing stopping you right now. Just send it in, and you'll have it in July, and you'll be ready to go. It takes a lot of the stress out of the process and things like that. You can book your flights, you can book your accommodation, you can do everything. So about 6 to 8 weeks. Is that massively different from what you guys experienced, or is that kind of the guidance?
I think it's quite lesser now, because when I applied, it was 8 weeks or 10 weeks almost. But now it's a little better, I guess.
Yes, I think they've hired some extra staff in Delhi as well.
So, and I think if you do it in
I got it in 5 weeks. I got mine in 5 weeks. They say 6 to 8 weeks, but usually you get it in 5 weeks. But you should do it early because it's really important.
Perfect. Any timing restrictions at accommodation? So there's no curfew. You have basically a swipe card. So it's like a hotel accommodation card. Only the people living in your building can get into your building. Only the people in your apartment can get into your apartment, and only you can get into your room. So there's no curfews or supervision on the accommodation. There is kind of a manager that lives in the building, so you can't have wild parties or loud music and stuff like that. But in terms of access and stuff like that, it's not supervised. And then off campus is the same. Unless you're living with a host family, they may have kind of more guidance if they've got children.
Off campus then.
But even still, it's rare. Like normally, the off campus would be shared between students, and it's kind of just being polite as opposed to enforced rules. The only time I've heard kind of enforced curfews is living with host families. If you want to kind of live with a family on that side of things. Stephen, scholarship opportunities. So yes, we do have scholarship opportunities. So we offer scholarships on a merit basis to students based on grades. So it depends on your application. So if you applied for the university, we assess you for scholarship and for admission at the same time. So I'm not sure if do either of you guys qualify for scholarships?
No. I think I didn't apply for one because I really applied late here.
Okay.
I decided to come.
But basically, so everyone is assessed for scholarships. If you have questions on the scholarships and things like that, you can look at the ul.ie/international website, and there's a section on there in scholarships. If you have any questions, ask them in here, or you can email international@ul.ie as well. We can clarify the amounts and the criteria and things like that. But we absolutely have scholarships. We also have sports scholarships, and we have scholarships that you can qualify during your program as well. So people with the highest grades per year and cooperative education piece as well, you can qualify for scholarships on that. Any other questions? I've applied for my course. How long does the course director take to review my application? So the process, basically, we have an admissions team that assesses the documentation, and then every application is reviewed by the course director. So the professor on the course makes the final decision on all applications. We normally say around 1 month is the usual time for processing. It can take longer depending on the program. Some course directors batch their applications together. But yeah, we say around a month is the usual processing time. And is that kind of in what you said?
Yeah.
So basically it depends if you also have an interview. So for our course, it was you send across your application and then there's a short interview with the course director. So they contact you via Skype or any other application where there's video calling. And so then there's the interview, and then they get back to you pretty soon after the interview, I guess.
It depends on course to course.
Yeah, it depends if you have an interview or not. But I think 1 month is...
Yeah.
1 month should be enough.
And for interviews, pretty much all of our business school programs interview. Computer science programs, most of the courses interview. UG, not normally. And most of the kind of the humanities and some of the engineering and science courses don't interview. So if you're not called for interview, don't worry. But some of the courses will have an interview based on that. Can you guys throw some light on sports life in UL?
No, so basically there's an Olympic-sized pool in the sport arena here, and it's really lovely. It's huge. Really good facilities of the gym as well. The basketball courts, and there's an indoor running track and everything. And with the new 3G pitches also coming in, which were I think last year, came up last year. So it's lovely to play soccer on that, and and you should also try to learn the Irish sports as well, hurling and everything. So I mean, if you're really into sports life and everything, I think UL is the best for you.
And the way that we structure the sports is that they're organised by clubs and societies. So you'll normally pay maybe like €5 to join a club. So it's like a nominal fee to join a club, and then basically all of the equipment and things like that are provided. So you don't have to pay a huge amount to access any of the sports. And then normally there is 3 levels of activities depending on the sport. So there's social, which is kind of you train whenever you want to play. There's normally a varsity level, which is kind of a fairly serious level. And then there's a professional sports teams in football, and soccer, rugby, basketball, and things like that. So it's quite structured in terms of the sports levels. There is a cricket team. I know it's probably... I think 95% Indian students at the moment, but there's cricket batting cages, there's a bowling green, and there's a cricket team on campus as well. So it's kind of a social one. They play some of the intervarsity stuff, but it's not a professional, not T20 standard. Do we have yoga classes? Yes, actually. So we have yoga classes free of charge in orientation week. And then there's
even accommodation.
Yeah, so if you're on campus, so basically you have free access to the gym, and also any classes that happens before like 5 o'clock in the evening. So there is yoga, Pilates, total body workout, and a lot of different classes.
And they're all free of charge as well.
Yeah, if you're staying on campus, they're all free.
And it's really it's a key deliverable of UL is not just the academics. I think it's kind of about the student life, and if you're not taking care of your body, your mind is going to struggle. So we do try and make it as easy as possible.
There's also like a UL Yoga Society, like clubs and societies. So even they have it like twice a week. So
there's the marathon runs and everything. So
everything.
There's a question there about the cost. So the difference in terms of cost on campus and off campus. So on campus, as you said, is about 5,600 for the year. And then off campus, it depends on the accommodation, but normally about 3,500 to 4,000. So it is slightly cheaper, but you then have to pay for extra bills, so Wi-Fi, electricity, so that's all included in the on campus, and it's extra in the off campus. So it's a little bit cheaper. It maybe works out maybe €500 to €700 cheaper, or a little bit more. But it is definitely more convenient. It's all kind of packaged together on the on campus. Do international students have an organised tour around Ireland? Yes. So the International Society. Did you do any of them?
So basically every weekend on Saturdays we used to do these tours across Ireland. So I think every place in Ireland is covered in this whole 2 semesters. So every Saturday we go to different places like Galway, Cork, and countryside, Aran Islands, Donegal, like up north, everywhere. So I think definitely international students have a chance to.
The best one was the St. Patrick's Day one.
St.
Patrick's Day trip to Dublin with the International Society. I think it was the best trip that I've ever been gone for. Like it was
I
amazing.
watched the parades and
Yeah,
stuff
with
like
the
that.
parade. Yeah, in Dublin,
Fantastic.
it was amazing.
Okay, I'm conscious we've ran about 30 minutes over time, so we've had lots of questions, and thank you very much for the engagement online. We've had lots of queries on it. Guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate Disha Abhinav. You've been absolute superstars. If there is any more questions, guys, do post them in the comments. We'll try and answer them back from the account. This will be recorded. You can watch it back and see it in more detail. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to welcoming you guys to UL.
Yeah.
Thank you. See ya.
Okay.
Done.